On this week's Outside Looking In, we talked to Gunter Taws, the president of the European Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines, on how trade tensions between the U.S. and China would impact the Philippines. Trade tensions between the U.S. and China begin to ease. U.S. President Trump is softening his stance on trade deals as he asked his advisors to review the Trans-Pacific Partnership or TPP deal aimed at reducing trade barriers in some of the fastest-growing economies in the Asia-Pacific region. He also took a similar stance with the North American Free Trade Agreement or NAFTA with Mexico and Canada.
We're going to make it great. And we're getting pretty close to a deal. It could be 3 or 4 weeks. It could be 2 months. It could be 5 months. I don't care. So, you know, the narrative of I'm pushing for a deal. I never push for a deal. I don't care.
Jeff Lewis, senior strategist at Manulife Asset Management, believes this shows Trump's aggressiveness to protect U.S. interests.
This is classic Trump negotiating, isn't it? He likes to take people by surprise, and perhaps he's now thinking that U.S. interests are best served by being within the TPP rather than just observing things from outside. Take NAFTA, for example. That treaty was originally negotiated in the early 90s. It was high time that it was looked over and modernized, brought up to date. So in some areas, he's been right, I think, to actually challenge things and shake things up a little bit.
For his part, Gunter Taws, president of the European Chamber of Commerce Philippines, welcomes this development, saying the European Union helped in pressuring the U.S. to address trade disputes.
Around not knowing where to go seems to be a sign of the time, and let's see what his ultimate decision will be, but I guess it would be a wise decision to get back in, because there's a greater trade impact not being in, and I think he has been under severe pressure from the European Union in order to level the playing field. So I guess it was a wake-up sign to all of them and say, fine, I think we should revisit it again and see where we go from there.
Taws also says the European Union is ready to retaliate against the U.S. should a full-blown trade war commence.
We take a tit for a tat, so I think they must have come to an agreement to make sure that we're all looking at the same level playing field in order to get our goods back and forth. It's a pity, actually. For 30 years we have been fighting for a free world, for a world without borders, and now we go back to square one. So all these efforts for all these years were for nothing if we start again with trade wars between China and the U.S. and probably Europe somewhere in the middle.
Taws believes the trade spat between the two of the world's largest economies would adversely impact the Philippines, despite Manila's warming relations with Beijing.
If you look at the Philippines, when we talk about manufacturing, it's actually not really manufacturing, it's assembly or sub-assembly, because we produce a lot of semi-finished goods which are partly directly exported to Europe and being finished there, but quite a lot of it goes straight into China for further processing. So yes, it would have a major impact on the Philippine exports as well. A lot of the goods, the semi-finished goods that go from here to China will then go from China to the US, so it definitely impacts it, no matter how friendly our relations with our Chinese neighbors are.
But for now, the wait continues on how the U.S. and China can resolve trade issues. An outside looking in.